nothing more fun than drawing a whole bunch of motorcycles going down the mountain. But kids, it's good to challenge yourself, right?
Yeah, this is
If
what it's all about. That's why I
if
like it.
you're
That's why I like
if you're
doing this.
too lazy to look up what something looks like, I mean, honestly, I'm just drawing motorcycles out of my mind, but they're not real. So,
And we are recording. What's going on, Jake?
what's up? Welcome back.
Yeah. We got plenty to be talking about. This is episode 14.
Nice.
So we are rocking along.
2 weeks. We've been
Just
doing
so
this 2 weeks.
um, every Sunday at 11 a.m. is when a new episode goes up, just so everybody knows. Of course, subscribe. That is the shtick, bell notification, yada, yada, yada. But other than that, I was left hanging last episode and wanted to share two comic books from my collection that I
Nice.
was looking into as nostalgia. The first is Banana. You know this guy?
Oh, I got the whole run right here.
Yeah, man, I do too. I have the original from Japan. I have those as well. I have like 20 something of those, which are the small books. But Viz
Uh-huh.
Select put out,
Yeah.
I forget how many issues. How many issues?
I got like 7 or 8, and then
Yeah.
I have some doubles. So if you're missing any, yeah, it's good. It's like this guy with like a kind of like a big Irish nose or whatever, like a
Oh, he's
caricature nose.
great. I'm watching the
He
anime too. There's a cartoon series, I think like 12 or 15 episodes. There and
and and
they follow the storyline.
and
And
he is
I just
he's
love
in a
this.
science fiction motorcycle ride with
It's
with
pirates. They're space
female
pirates.
female robots.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's off the hook. But he's a famous pirate. He's going. This is like a
But
dream back.
why is Marv Wolfman on the credits? What is he
What?
doing?
It says an English adaptation by Marv Wolfman. I guess Marv Wolfman knew some Japanese.
So that means he just did the translation of word balloons.
I would assume so. I would assume so because it just says English adaptation.
It's
Marv
he
Wolfman.
doesn't he doesn't speak Japanese though,
Oh, I
so
don't. I
that
can't
means
speak to it. He could be going there.
Marv
But the,
Wolfman speak Japanese.
hey, I don't know. But
Yeah, so
Buichi Terasawa is the creator. One man army. And then so this space pirate, I became a lone wolf pirate. I was COBRA. And then, but he's on the run so much because of all of his mischievous ways, he has to go dormant. And then this is so cool. So his left arm or right arm or whatever it um, is this gun, which is called the Psycho gun. And
mm-hmm.
so he's now waking back up as the kind of like cryogenic defrosted version, and now the bounty's out on his head for 7 million. But I want to do a, practice inking page or two
Look at this.
of this. So yeah,
Look at this.
that's Androidia
Tell me
Lady.
that tell me that
I
is
love
not like
this. I
Paul
love this
DeLacy
stuff.
right there. What
I
about
love this
this?
stuff, man. I
Boom.
love it. I love it.
What about this?
I love
Boom.
it. I love it. I love it.
The
I love it.
covers. Boom. Now
It is a
that
solid, it's a solid black and white book.
boom. This is number
1988
three.
copyright from, I think, was this one? Yeah,
Boom. Oh no, that's Frank Runner on
1990.
Eclipse.
Yeah, I
Never
got
mind.
those too. I got those too. So,
Dude, man,
yeah.
we gotta put out our stuff, man.
Oh, I
So
got you.
this
And then the
this is
second. let me just plug this second book. This is one of my childhood favorites. This is actually the second half of this Stark Future. I believe they changed artists, and I this is all time in my top 10 favorite comic books. It just
Really?
because of the nostalgia as like a kid, it was like
Hmm.
it was totally like you never did Dungeons and Dragons or any role playing games or anything, did you?
Yeah, but only like fifth and sixth grade. Yeah.
All right. Um, but there was a game called Star Frontiers that I had gotten into at the same time as this comic had come out, and it just paralleled the feeling. But I would love to totally do like a
Swap
variant
meet.
ink version, yeah, of this comic. It's
I'm
great.
gonna
I'm
s-
actually
I'm gonna s- I'm gonna say the pages. They're beautiful, every single one. Look, this one
yep,
even has like a rich Corbin effect, right?
yep,
That means they probably brought out all kind of inks, or I don't know.
yep,
But generally speaking, they use some of these mezzo tints, but generally speaking, it's a little bit white for me. Like, they're starting to get these great balanced, you know, pages, black and white, with all this like, great like interplay. But
yeah.
then there's always just too much white, because of the word balloons and the other things. So
I
it's,
agree.
I think it's a little bit
Well,
traditional
you have to
Japanese manga.
realize, yeah, but you have to remember that this was printed on a what is that? The books in Japan, they're about this big. I mean, they're literally like 4 by 6 inches, so they're almost half the size of a comic book. I don't have any of them around right now.
So so
But
so
so
here's
that closing down in now they're doing it up twice size up, and he probably did the pages. Those are like two size pages that he made the originals from. So that's why you're also getting all of this sort of like wideness in the page.
here I'm doing an NFT, and this could, I'm just thinking, be Turbo. Why not? Just put this in as a like a young Turbo, right?
Cool.
So guys, you're witnessing the making of a comic, Turbo Pit Fighter, and this is some NFT material that we're gonna put out, Young Turbo. And then right back to where we were last time. Um, I'm doing an action page where there's a pursuit, and I'll show you the very previous page. Um, Turbo, wake up! You've been daydreaming. You were in flashback again, and they're here in the ice cream van, and they're being pursued. The last page of issue one is going to show what that looks like, right? And here they're contemplating some philosophical issue, and then you get a good look at the at the assailants that are coming here, and then you release the miny balls, or whatever they're called, and then we're on the page that I'm at now. So this is a big action page where there's some explosions in the next panel.
What page is that, Jake?
Um, so this was
Is that
page
4
four, so I'm on page
of issue
five.
2? That's page 5 of issue 2.
Yeah, and
Okay.
and yeah, and we have the cover for issue one already done, and we haven't really shown it yet, but it's all done in
Yeah.
Photoshop. Yeah. So
Well, I got to do my version of it too.
what, the front cover?
Yeah. Variants, baby.
Oh
Name of the
yeah,
game.
well, we
Variants.
don't have back cover anyway, and we don't have inside. We don't have we have inside front cover. It's going to be a story page, but it's going to be just a setup that leads right to the first page of action. And I also have a, on the bottom of that page, we have to superimpose like some typewriting, on there, which I have typewritten from my classroom. Um, so it'll be like explaining what happened, like a news clipping, and we have like a dear cousin letter, in a ruin where it says how everything went to hell in a handbasket. So that's
This is
the
just the
in
world setup.
yeah, again, this is the inside front cover of
Okay.
issue 1, which you're looking at. So we have the front cover done, and the inside front cover is going to be a setup page to the first page you started inking. The inside front cover needs to be inked.
Okay.
Yeah.
As soon as you get that scanner, scan it and send it to me.
All right. So yeah, so that's all good. Here we have some motorcycles in pursuit. It's gonna be this is motorcycles and other speedsters that are still in pursuit, but then there's gonna be this big crash right here, and all the big vehicles look like they're all upended because of the blown out tires. Uh, and then they're gonna be fisticuffs one by one. Turbo's gonna take them all out.
Boom.
And they're also going to have a second set of weapons that they use to take out their spokes of their motorcycles, right? Like an expanding tumbleweed wire that's contained in the spring, just like the Flash's uniform fit in his ring. What? That's not scientifically feasible?
Yes, it is in the world of comics. Everything's feasible in the world of comics. That's why they're so awesome.
Yeah, but have any of them come true? Has microfibers come true, like Fantastic
Oh, I
Four
bet you. I bet you. I bet you.
had
I
on their
bet you.
uniforms? Like, how come the guy can burn to hell, but his clothes are still there? That's why the first Human Torch was more realistic.
He was butt naked, right?
Well, he was just flames. You could
All the time.
just just stylize it. Make him a flame bikini. So it just be creative. They did fine. Marvel Comics #1 was better than any appearance than Fantastic Four Human Torch in my mind. So yeah, so I'm just doing some like machinery of like overturned cars, and we're gonna have a whole bunch of more motorcycles. So there's nothing more fun than drawing a whole bunch of motorcycles going down the mountain. But kids, it's good to challenge yourself, right?
Yeah, this is
If
what it's all about. That's why I
if
like it.
you're
That's why I like
if you're
doing this.
too lazy to look up what something looks like, I mean, honestly, I'm just drawing motorcycles out of my mind, but they're not real, so you don't have to worry. These are like futuristic models
Yeah,
where
you're using the how to draw the Marvel way. Just all those nice shapes.
right. Is that how I do it? Yeah, I mean,
There's
I'm
boxes and square
graphically
cylinders.
laying it out, and then definitely doing silhouettes, to save a lot of time. It's a good way to save time. And the silhouettes could be colored later, very easily in the duotone version. But you're making. I think what we're doing is we're making separate versions, and as we
Oh, we're definitely
like
going to do that.
color it later, we'll be adding to it later. So there'll be like a rawer line art comic printed, and then there'll be a duotone comic printed, which will be really exciting.
There's going to be very many versions. I'm already figuring out how I want to do my version of this comic, and so
Oh yeah, what are you
yeah.
thinking? Like painted or what?
No. It's I still want mine to be black and white, but I've been playing around with a I guess I refer to as zipatone, where it's like um, a screen color
Oh
or
man, that
a
would be
gray. But I'm not gonna let my technical thing out of the bag. But oh, actually, I have a no, it's up on the wall. But
so
anyways, I can
so
show it off
so.
later.
Wait, what you're conceiving of is we'll have Kurt's version and Jake's version
Yeah.
after we put out our joint version. We'll be doing each a separate version, and
Well,
this will
this is
will
all the
add color.
Kickstarter. This is all the Kickstarter stuff. Remember,
Yeah.
we we have to be
Oh yeah,
thinking.
great.
You gotta have all of these versions there because I mean, one part of it is it's the collector, the person that's getting in on it right from the get, and
Right.
they wanna be completionists is what I've heard people call themselves, and that's if there's 17 versions of that thing and it costs 170 bucks, they're gonna plop it down. Now I don't want to be a part of something that's just frivolously um, putting 17 cover variations. I say we also do, if we're doing 17 versions, even the interiors are uh, altered or expanded upon
Hmm.
creatively, whether it's us or somebody else who wants to get in with us on it. I'm really into um, variance and the real ideas and defining that from my own creative perspective. I really think it's something that needs to really be looked at, but I think even more importantly, experimented creatively. Um, not just as a selling mechanism for a hustle.
Yeah. No, it sounds like we're just gonna make it better each time, but like we're gonna have like our Kiss and Ace Frehley and Gene Simmons versions,
Mhm.
and it's gonna be great, man. Like the yin and yang,
Yeah,
the same exact story, right? Because we want number one to be a classic, right? And then
yeah.
I don't know if I live long enough to duotonize, all six issues. That'd be amazing. The whole
I
graphic
think that'll
novel.
be very, very plausible. I mean, it's I think playing with the content beyond just trying to produce issue after issue in the industry as a whole is getting tiresome for people.
Yeah.
And so, like I said, I see more and more Kickstarters where they're making one interior, sometimes not all that captivating, but they're getting, you know, 17 people to make covers. And maybe these are fans of those individuals. And so they have to, as a completionist, get
Meet a colorist and say,
yeah,
hey, why don't you take a stab at these 28 pages, and your version you'll be a partner in owning your version, and the story's all done, and the plot's all done, and it's all part of a collection, of versions of the same story, right? Let's start with the
yeah,
number one,
why not?
and then continue if it's fruitful for everybody. Just they can do just a guest appearance, and have a part ownership, right, of the edition. Great.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, to just think of things in these archaic structures because Marvel and DC established them ultimately is very, very limiting.
Right, but who
And I
else is
think,
doing that though? Like,
I don't know. I don't know.
you see updates where they'll take some pages, and they'll say, hey, let's freshen these up, and then like there's even been like stuff put out that had 3D glasses. I
Sure,
have
sure,
I I
sure,
have like
sure.
5 or 10 examples of that. They're really amazing. I even got some Betty Page 3D comics. and that was amazing. They have the glasses and everything. So there's always been like updating it. Like I'm sure every time they put something digital, it's all new colorization, right? And some people say it sanitizes it. Some people would rather see the printed one with all the errors, you know. But sometimes they were unrecoverable, right? Like they really impede the story, like seriously. So it all depends. Who the visual editor is will be determining what goes out, because it's been 20 years where you could update. You can use computers, to just update anything and just cut and paste and you know just completely change the thing around, right?
Well, but I mean, a company like Marvel, DC, they have to make the decisions of um, investment. They have to pay people to do the work, and you know, I think a lot of people working at Marvel and DC are doing it for the paycheck, and so they're going to try to get through it as quick as they can, pay their expenses for 3 months, so they can go back and do their stuff.
So
You know,
let me ask you something. If because when I was at the comic store, they had this like total treasury edition of like the greatest runs of every comic, right? Commandy included, and their Avengers, whatever, and all of those coloring jobs are all new, right? So
yeah,
that means this is a whole new product, and the colorist is of vast importance. The archiving or the coloring or doctoring, whatever they have to do, and I'm sure they have a visual editor and a story editor, and they're going over it page by page, and this has taken like probably 3 years to do with a colorist painstakingly recreating every page because they want this to be the version for the next generations and formats and digital. They've been digital for a long time now, like a membership deal where you get all the comics in the entire Marvel library for a membership, right? They've had that
yeah,
for a long time, 10 years, right?
yeah.
I just haven't paid for it. I probably should have had, but if I did, I'd never get anything else done,
Well,
you
that's
know.
the other issue is that we have to just bow down to the digital gods because I think the ratio is probably something like uh, maybe 50-50, if not leaning more 60-70 to 30-40 when you're doing a Kickstarter where, the majority of your sales is coming through on the digital version, the PDF, so because, the physicality of owning and storing books,
Hmm.
you got to choose what it is you're storing. I, am going at this as arts collectible. That's where my head is in what should be made and how it should be made.
Hmm.
Um, so if somebody we can get them to make the ultimate decision. It's going to be based on, wow, that's beautiful art that really would enhance my collection. So their thing is duotoned collecting, you know, comics. That's so it's just getting in front of them and then having the right thing.
What do you think about using a separate font, right? I'm thinking about the way that the word balloons get into the way of the words for me.
What the word
So
balloons
yeah,
get in the way of the words?
right. Suppose there's only enough room for the words and not enough room for the word balloon, right?
Okay.
How about if you just took away the balloon and you know who's speaking by the font?
Uh, I think I've seen that before, and I think it's
Deathlok.
too much. I think it's two. Well, yeah, yeah, because his computer is in a.
The computer font, right? Exactly.
Yeah,
That's what I have. I
yeah,
have the I have the robot driver, and then
right.
I don't really use it on anyone else, but I just keep it with the robot driver because that's where you're saving. You know, it's like Jarvis, right? It's saving you time of the narrative. You know, like Iron Man had Jarvis, right? He's
Uh huh.
constantly talking to the computer.
Yep.
That's from Deathlok.
Right.
That's from Deathlok, right? And the computer was in his head, and he was this like cyborg guy, and the computer was in his head, but it was the thing was it was the font that got me. When I was a kid, I was crazy about the computer
Yeah,
font
I
because
agree.
the
I agree.
computers were new, you
Yep.
know, and they had the greatest story going on. They had Don McGregor, right? And they had the greatest story going on. So, you know, it was just amazing that Deathlock wasn't bigger, you know, to me. Maybe it was the design of the character, you know, in the first place. But, you know, there's been great art of Deathlock. I think Gil Kane is great, but everybody's done Deathlock, right? I don't know if
Yep.
Kirby ever messed around with Deathlock. It was a great on and off character for them, but the computer font was, look, here's Deathlock right here by Joe Quesada, right? The
Yeah.
pot and he still had that like face of Morbius, right? Like the upturned nose. So that segues us into this report. um, Spider-Man 100 was the last issue that Stan Lee wrote, and Spider-Man 101 was credited to Roy Thomas and Gil Kane art, and it introduced the character Morbius, the vampire. It was really interesting. Roy Thomas has said in interviews that Morbius was created because um, Stanley was handing off the scripting of Spider-Man, and there was agreement that they were going to use a vampire to be an enemy of Spider-Man, a bad guy, on issue 101 because Stanley was handing off the reins. He wanted it to be spectacular, and the there was still a prohibition on supernatural creatures because of the self-imposed Comics Code Authority. Uh, and supernatural creatures were not allowed to be used in stories with prurient violence. The only depictions were allowed to be the depictions of the depictions seen in schools from the original artists, like Bram Stoker's Dracula and
Yeah.
Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. It was, and the art wasn't supposed to be changed to, you know, corrupt the minds of the kids. And it started with the Frederick Wortham hearings, and you know, the industry became so, you know, policing of itself that it no longer needed the government intervention. And you know, they really changed comics. They didn't have, you know, they didn't you know, cheapen or glorify the monsters of old. And so Roy Thomas made Morbius a scientific, science created vampire, not a supernatural vampire. It was like Spider-Man, the mixing of the DNA with the bat made Morbius, and more. You know, they had the character of a guy with a blood disease, rare blood disease that made him, you know, seek the you know, splicing the DNA of a bat, and it goes horribly wrong, and he gets powers, you know, of uh you know, supernatural powers and the echolocation of a bat, and you know, and but he has to drink blood, but he was so they called him Morbius, the living vampire. And because he was the living vampire, and he was not you know, susceptible to garlic or wolf's bane, um you know, it was more of a superhero type vampire. And he has compromised ethics. So that was the premise of the movie with Jared Leto that I saw with my wife last night, and Morbius, the Michael Morbius was a cripple, and he was became the Nobel Prize winning scientist for making artificial blood, and things go horribly awry. Excuse me, and they created a new franchise at the very
Is isn't there like a cosmic horror element to it?
well,
Like
there is
he
the allure of vampirism.
dimensionally moves around or sees things that kind of he's having issues with or
Yeah,
trying to deal with.
echolocation. It's like Daredevil powers. You can hear everything, and you hear it selectively. And so in the movie, he's an anti-hero, and he struggles with the in the initial, he kills and drinks the blood of all these guys, but they're bad guys. So the vampire is giving vengeance in the night, to against criminals, and saving people, but he's also drinking the blood. And then when he bites the neck of somebody, they become a vampire. So Roy,
But isn't that supernatural?
um, yes, that's it becomes supernatural. It's just a way around into it. That's what Roy Thomas
Right.
admitted. Basically admitted. Those are my words. But the way I read it, it was it was all conceived as a way around the comics code. And what happened was, when they came out with Morbius as an enemy to Spider-Man, there was no backlash, and so subsequently in 1972, so that was 1971. In 1972, that gave them the balls or the impetus to release Tomb of Dracula #1, and it was just the copyright-free version of Dracula becoming a anti-hero in a Marvel comic, and it opened the door for Werewolf by Night, and it opened the door for the Monster Frankenstein, all of which were credible treatments. You had Mike Plug doing the Frankenstein one, so it became an instant classic to me, um, that I don't think I have my hands on, actually, but I think I have some covers of it, of something, like some pinups of it. Um, but I remember them well when I was a kid. Mike Plug's Frankenstein, and Werewolf by Night was Mike Plug too. And Werewolf by Night caught fire. It became a very good story. But I think on the inside there was a character named Jack Russell, but I forgot who did the inside
Yeah,
art
your audio's cutting out.
on
Are
that.
you losing
Were
power?
you a collector of Werewolf by Night?
Yeah, I can't. Oh, lost you.
Hey, Kurt, you with
I
me?
think the phone died, people. Got to plug it back in. So we'll give a minute here.
Sorry, Kurt. If you can hear me, shake the thing. All right. I assume you can't hear me.
This is once again page 9. So you can get a good nice side by side here. Take a minute to show off my work. There we go. Having a great time inking these. And I've said in the past, I do like a 80% ink over the page, and then get all the pages inked, then come back and finish them off to tighten them as a whole, as a story whole. So These are definitely not close to being finished. Oh, I see Jake's knocking at the door to come back in. Let's let him back in. You plugged all back in now, Jake? Yeah, I can hear you. We all can hear you. We can see your we can see your ceiling too. Are you plugged in? Are you plugged in? Like, did the phone get hot? We got 10 more minutes. We got 10 more minutes of this here episode. So, okay. Hey, you dropped out again.